Hello, beautiful souls. I am Danny Lights, and I am here today to provide you guys with a nice restorative stretch routine, something that you can implement a few times a week or whenever you feel it's necessary to connect back to your body, really feel the sensations of what is going on inside of your body, and allowing you to move through any stress, any stagnation of energy in your body, and ultimately allowing you to feel more present and in the now moment. The reason that I wanted to share this sequence with you is because we get so caught up in all the day-to-day things that we need to take care of, and oftentimes our energy is deflected away from our own needs and put on other people and circumstances. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to really hone in to your body and to your tissue, to your organs, to your emotional needs, your mental and spiritual needs as well, to really help center you and set you up for either a restful night of sleep or a beautiful day ahead. So with that being said, I hope that you enjoy this flow, and I look forward to sharing more with you guys. Thank you. As we begin, start with your feet hip distance apart. Just find a comfortable position with your hands placed onto your heart. Just beginning to connect to your breath and just feeling the gentle rise and fall and the soft container of your hands pressed against the tissue of your chest. Allow the warmth of your hands to connect with your heart space and really just settle in to the present moment. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose, nice and gently. Bringing the hands up onto the shoulders, begin to give yourself a hug, just cradling your body, connecting in, and just truly feeling the sensation of being held, and bringing the awareness to the love that your body is craving and deserves to feel. Allow yourself to really be held and receive the sense of touch. Allow your elbows to reach overhead, letting the arms circle back and around, and sky has made an appearance. Letting the arms drape overhead, letting the elbows guide the movement and circling around, feeling your shoulders just slowly begin to open up, feeling the tissue through the sides of the body beginning to awaken and expand. And as we circle through, moving at a tempo that feels comfortable, you can begin to allow your head to follow this pathway, allowing the neck to get a nice stretch, letting the head follow the arms back and around. Each time we move through this, deepening the range of motion, even starting to let the torso move with it, bending through the knees, almost as if you're creating a wave through your body. Allowing the torso to drop towards the thighs as we increase the capacity to which our body moves, letting it drop down and up, using your breath to guide the movement. Slowly bringing yourself back to standing. Go ahead and bring your hands to your face and start to establish the sense of connection of tissue from your hands to your face. Really let your hands settle and feel the sense of touch. Often we neglect to even acknowledge the tissue of our face, so it's important just to bring some awareness to it, make it feel seen, letting your hands explore the different crevices of your face, the shapes, feeling your scalp, allowing your hands to even rest on your head to really feel that support being created, letting it drape down. And from here, gently begin to just wake up the neck by rocking the head from side to side. Just having a nice gentle stretch and imagining that you're breathing from the bottom of your ear into your trap each time that you rock the head from side to side. Bringing the chin to the chest and up towards the ceiling. Just letting the neck organically open without any force. It even helps as you move through to envision that your scalp and your skull are surrounded by water. And as you circle your head around, you're just gently swishing the water all the way around. The visual of water helps you to not create any excess tension and can help you move from more of an energetic space. Gently bring your hand over towards your left ear, reaching towards the top of the ear, and your right hand is going to pull the ear down, creating a stretch. Allow your head to fall over to the right, creating a nice deep stretch. And from here, let yourself sink down into a nice deep squat and just start to explore the sense of movement. By pulling the tissue of the ear, we're allowing the tissue from the neck to start to expand. We're opening up the fascial planes of the side of the body. And you should feel even deeper of a stretch as you pull the ear and explore different ways to move in the squat, knowing that you don't have to go so far down, but just finding a comfortable space. Circle the head around just to find some release. And give yourself a nice little walk around the room just to feel the difference as you've opened up that side of the body. Taking an inhale, reaching up. Exhale, releasing the arms down. And switching over to the opposite side. Reaching that left arm up and over towards the top of your right ear. Pulling down. And just letting the head fall over to the left side. Gently sinking down into a nice deep squat, finding a comfortable position, and exploring the different ways in which your body can move within this squat. Again, noting that if you are not comfortable going all the way down, just going to the depth that feels comfortable for you. Focusing on your breath as you find that deep position. Inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. Circling the head around, taking a nice big breath in, and just starting to walk around the room again and feeling the difference between your sides. Coming back into a standing position, taking an inhale. Interlacing your fingers, reaching those arms up. Nice deep stretch through the side of the body. We're going to go ahead and take that right leg, cross it behind your left, reaching both arms up to the side. Using your opposite hand onto your thigh, go ahead and create a sense of counterbalance here. So you're pushing into your hip with your hand. As we take a nice big breath in, use your lat muscles. So thinking of engaging from under your armpit down towards your rib cage, press the elbow towards your hip. And then exhale, stretching over. So inhale, contracting, press down, squeeze the side of the body. Exhale, nice deep stretch. Feeling the reach all the way through, hip to fingertips. Breathing into the side of the rib cage as you hold this stretch. Gently release. Interlace your fingers and go ahead and contract, pressing your spine towards the wall behind you. Bending the knees and rolling it all the way up one vertebrae at a time. Inhaling at the top. Interlace your fingers and again find that contraction, pressing the spine back, bending the knees, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Interlace your fingers. Go ahead and cross the opposite leg behind now, bending into that front knee and really pressing into the side of that hip as the arm reaches over. Place the hand on the opposite hip and deep stretch. Taking a nice full breath in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. On your next inhale, contracting that elbow down towards your hip, contracting from your lat, and big reach up and over. The reason we're creating that contraction is so that you activate the muscle, so that as we go into that stretch, you'll find you can deepen into it. Contracting and opening, nice long stretch, feeling the length from the hip all the way out through your fingertips. You can adjust your foot placement to whatever feels comfortable here. And if you need to, also know you can grab a chair for balance. Interlace your fingers, pressing the palms up towards the ceiling again. And go ahead and drop down, contracting through the spine, rolling it up one vertebrae at a time. Just feeling the flow. Interlace the fingers, round the back, press the spine back, and tuck the chin to the chest. Rocking side to side here. And go ahead and bend into one knee, pressing that opposite arm up towards the ceiling. Flex your palm, so think of pressing your palm up towards the ceiling. Open your fingertips wide and look up towards the hand. You should start to feel a little bit of nerve flossing through that arm. Gently circling the wrist, just starting to loosen up the wrist joints. And softening that hand down towards the floor, bending into the opposite knee, finding that spinal rotation, flexing the palm, pressing it up towards the ceiling, looking up and spreading the fingertips. Adjusting the placement of your neck as needed, and just go ahead and gently circle the wrist around a few times. On your next exhale, let that hand soften back down towards the floor. And you can sway side to side, finding that opening up, just reaching this time. Deep stretch, bending through the knee, twist and open, feeling the opposition between each side. You might even notice that you can go a little further with that spinal rotation each time that you reach. Using your breath to help open up and expand through the body. Not forcing anything, just organically flowing. Go ahead and gently turn your toes out here and bending down into a nice deep squat, keeping the emphasis through the heels. Allow the elbows to be on the inside of the thighs or bringing the hands onto the thighs. As I'm in this position, I am actively pressing my hands into my thighs and pulling the tissue back towards my knees. So up towards the top of the thigh. The reason I'm doing this is to create space in the fascia. And that way I can actually allow the groin to open up a little bit more deeply. Gently rolling up through the knees. And exhale, coming back down, bringing your fingers down to the insides of the heels. Now, if you're not able to get this low, make any adjustments that you need to, but allow the hands to glide up and down the inner thighs. We're working along the kidney meridian here, which has to do a lot with fear. And also warming up the ankles. So really creating a little bit of circularity with the fingers on the inside of the heels on that kidney meridian. Just opening it up. Feeling the sense of connection to tissue as you run the hands up the thighs and back down to the heels. Inhale as you come up. And gently walking the feet all the way in. Nice big inhale, reach, stretching down towards the floor. I'm just going to pivot myself so that you can see me better, but come down into a downward dog position. Feel the tailbone pressing up towards the ceiling. All 10 fingers and all 10 toes are evenly pressed down onto the floor, and just treading through the feet, feeling each heel sink down towards the ground one at a time to allow the calves to really stretch and open. Keeping the neck in line with the rest of the spine. Gently let the heels sink down into the floor. Really actively push those heels down, keeping the hips pressed back. Palms are firmly press planted into the ground. And lower yourself down into a tabletop position, making sure the shoulders are stacked over your wrists,
We're going to gently walk our hands over to the right side. Take that right palm on top of the left. You're reaching out on a nice long diagonal, and as you exhale, gently sink your forearms down into the floor. Your tailbone may be pressing up towards the ceiling, so don't worry about shifting your hips all the way down towards your heels. Keep them lifted. Allow yourself to feel the stretch through the side of the body here. As you inhale, shift forward, pressing back onto the palms. Exhale, melting the forearms back down to the floor. You should feel a nice deep stretch through your triceps and into your teres muscles right below the armpit. And just breathe deeply into the stretch. One more time, shifting forward as you inhale, and exhale, gently sending the forearms down to the ground, allowing the forehead just to rest either on your forearm or on the floor. Coming forward, and gently go ahead and unwind those arms, switching over to the other side, walking the hands out on the diagonal. Left palm goes on top of the right, and sending your forearms down to the floor. Continue to sink until you feel that nice deep stretch through the tricep and right below your armpit. Few deep breaths here as you hold the stretch. Inhale, pressing forward, pushing your shoulders over the wrists. As you exhale, send the hips back, forearms press down into the floor, and just melt into this position, really allowing the tissue just to soften. Continuing to focus on your inhale and exhale, expanding through your ribcage. Shifting forward one more time. And as you exhale, sinking down, feeling that nice long stretch. You want to focus your energy from your tailbone through the side of the body and out through your fingertips as you settle into this stretch. Letting the forehead be gentle and soft. Shifting forward and unwinding the hands, coming into a tabletop position. Moving through a few cat-cows. Now the intention of this cat-cow is coming from the tailbone and articulating through the spine until it reaches the crown of the head. As we reverse, initiating again from the tailbone, feeling the unfurling of each vertebrae one at a time until it reaches the crown of the head. As we start to explore different movement pathways within the cat-cow, you will notice where there is tension in the spine, and you will notice where there is flow. As we reverse again, this time starting with the top of the head, letting it unfurl, neck, mid-back, low back, tailbone. And one last time. This time we go from the center of the spine and feeling the connection of the head and tail moving together. So center of the spine as we contract, inhale, tucking the chin in, and just feeling the difference as we initiate from different points of the spine. Contracting and arching. Gently begin to explore the new movement pathways that your spine can move by creating a circle. Allow the circle to move, thinking of the connection between the head and your tailbone, moving in one pathway, and gently reversing, taking it towards the other side. Envisioning the water circling through your pelvis and your skull. So again, we're not forcing anything, we're just starting to open the tissue, focusing on how the breath can move through the body without any force. Pressing the hips back, coming into a child's pose. You may allow your knees to be a little bit wider than hip distance, just so you can find some more space for your hips. Comfortably press back. Let your forehead rest on the floor and just breathe through the side of the body, feeling the expansion between the rib cage. Next breath in, go ahead and gently tuck the chin to the chest, rolling through, coming into a cobra position. arms are going to reach overhead. So now as we move through this pathway, we're going to initiate from our glute, starting with the right side. Squeeze your glute, let that leg reach across the body, and you're going to unwind until you end up on your back. Arms are extended overhead. Then reversing the pathway, leading with your toes, you're going to swipe that leg across your body towards the midline until it drops down, bringing you back onto your stomach. We reverse again. So arms stay overhead. Allow the glute to initiate, driving the leg across the body. As you reach your back, swiping that leg across, letting it twist, feeling your toe being pulled to bring you back onto your stomach. You almost want to imagine that there is a string being pulled from your toes to bring you onto your back. And let that string pull across. You can circle the leg out and around, or you can keep the leg bent. Whatever feels most comfortable for you, just follow the pathway and feel the unwinding of your spine. You may find that as you move through, in some phases, you might get stuck. You might feel like it's a little bit more challenging to feel the connection of the muscles. That is absolutely fine. This time, as we are on the back, gently go ahead and take your right leg across the body and settle your left hand on the outside of your thigh to feel that spinal twist. Settle into the stretch for a moment, and then go ahead and extend your leg, reaching that left arm on the outside of your shin, your knee, or your hip, wherever it's comfortable. And you want to rotate your toes down towards the floor so you get your peroneals. You'll also work the muscles along the IT band, because we can't stretch the IT band, but we can stretch the muscles that run along it. So you should feel a nice stretch through the outside of the hip and the muscles that run along that IT band. I'm creating a sense of tension. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm holding the stretch for about 10 seconds. And as I inhale, I'm resisting by pushing my leg up towards the ceiling and pushing my hand against it. So I'm creating a sense of resistance to activate the muscles, pushing for 10 seconds. And as I exhale, I let the leg settle back down to deepen into that stretch. What this does is it sends a signal to the brain to let the muscle relax after it's been in a state of tension. Let me just make an adjustment so y'all can see me a little bit better. I also was getting over a cough here, so pardon the coughing. From here, hugging the knee into the chest, just creating small little circles through the hip joint, envisioning that sense of water flowing through the hip to create that sense of lubrication. On your next exhale, gently go ahead and extend that leg up, just stretching through the hamstring and actively flexing your foot, pushing the heel towards the ceiling. We're going to go ahead and circle the ankle around, and I am actively really trying to get that full flex. So I'm trying to get the heel and the toes really flattened out as much as possible as I move through that circle. I'm going to move in both directions, getting all different ranges of motion, trying to hit every pathway of my ankle, and deepening the calf stretch. As I breathe, I pull that leg in a little closer, and I'm just massaging through my calf and my hamstring by rocking the tissue back and forth. By creating a sense of push and pull, I'm really starting to focus on opening up the fascial tissue rather than just the muscle. There have been many studies that actually show that some of the soreness that we experience is from the adaptation of the fascia and not so much of the muscle. So if we're able to create those adaptations of tissue, we're going to have more and better circulation, our bodies will move better, and ultimately our range of motion is going to improve every single day. So just start to really move, manipulate the tissue around. Do not worry about how far back your leg goes. Wherever you are is perfectly fine. We're just focusing on creating that sense of connection to the body. And find the enjoyment in the movements as well. Oftentimes we look at what our body should look like, where we think it should be. We start to pass judgment, and ultimately that inhibits our ability to reach our fullest potential. When we start to approach movement from a space of enjoyment and just what feels good, we can get so much more out of it. Here, I'm just draping my leg down onto the floor, creating a circle. So I'm sliding my foot down onto the rug, letting the hip glide out and around and down, almost like I'm creating a figure 4 and moving in both directions here. So starting with the knee coming up towards the ceiling, opening out and down, and trying to stabilize my opposite hip down into the floor. You don't want to let that opposite hip really lift as much, so try to just keep it pressed down. Add a couple wiggles here through the body just to shake and release any excess tension, letting your body just breathe and settle down into the floor. As you lie on the floor, really feel your low back connected into the ground. Slowly make your way onto your stomach where we will reverse the pathway. So we're going to initiate now by squeezing our glute on the left side, finding that articulation so the leg crosses over, and reversing the pathway, imagining that string again pulling us across as we unwind onto our stomach. Bending through the leg, coming around, and you can either keep your leg bent or straight depending on what feels most comfortable for your body. You're thinking of feeling that unwinding. Now, I know on this side for me, it's a lot more challenging for me to feel the rotation and flow. So if you move slower on one side than you do on the other, that is absolutely fine. Just honor what your body is expressing and just honor where it is today, knowing that it can change, and it will change. Go ahead and cross that leg across the body, feeling that opposition, looking out towards your fingertips, feeling that twist. Taking a few comfortable deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, just letting all of the tissue settle into the stretch. And when you feel ready, you can extend the leg, pressing the toes down towards the floor, feeling the stretch along the outside of the leg here, keeping that rotation through the spine. And as you inhale, actively pushing the leg down with your hand and trying to drive the leg up towards the ceiling, almost thinking of pushing back from your hip. We push for 10 seconds and then settle back down into the stretch for another 10. Pushing up, inhale, and exhale, letting it settle back down. You will know if you're definitely doing it right if each time after the activation, when you go into the stretch, you're able to more deeply release into it. Gently bending that knee in towards the chest, just giving a couple little circles just to lubricate that hip joint. And reversing the pathway. And also noticing that as you move through any particular movement pathways within the body, everything is information. So rather than judging it from a place of, again, as I said before, where it is today, take it as information. You're gaining insight about your body. So you might notice, my left side feels a little bit different than my right. That is absolutely fine. Or you might notice, well, my glute is really engaging on this side and it doesn't do it on the other side. We're just taking stock of what our body is expressing. Repeating that same stretch on the opposite side with the hamstring and just pushing the tissue from side to side, creating a pressure that feels comfortable without pain. Running up and down, just feeling that push and pull. Driving that leg in, breathing deeply as that hamstring opens. Allow your hands to also transfer the energy that you want to feel into that space. So oftentimes when we force a stretch, there is a sense of resistance that we can create where the tissue doesn't want to go any further and we're trying to force it. But sometimes by placing your hands and setting the intention of, I want you to feel safe, I want you to feel acknowledged. When you set that intention, your tissue responds. Remember, it is alive. So communicate with it in the ways that feel best. Creating those small circles from the hip, out and around, just loosening it up. Swishing that water around. Letting the foot slide down onto the floor, creating those figure fours. So opening the leg up to the side, letting it swipe down, and bringing it out to the side, up towards the ceiling, and lowering down. Repeating again. Trying to really stabilize that opposite hip down into the ground. And reversing the pathway, starting up towards the body, knee drops out to the side, letting it fall, and circling out and around. Making sure that any and all rotation is coming from your hip and not the kneecap. Gently go ahead and rock side to side, just feeling the flow of the body, circling through both hips here. So now hugging in the knees towards the chest, just letting them open and release, reversing the pathway. And just allow the weight of the legs to be nice and loose. Rock yourself up to a seated position, tucking the chin in towards the chest, finding yourself in a butterfly position, bringing the soles of the feet together, sitting up nice and tall. And we rock back and up, stretching forward, bringing the nose to the feet. And again, we rock back and up and stretching forward. Just loosening up through the back, rocking up. Feel your spine articulate as you come up into that seated position. Rocking back, chest reaches forward, and stretching forward towards the feet. Placing your left palm down onto the floor, reaching that right arm up and over. You really want to feel that right hip anchoring down into the floor. So make sure that the opposite hip isn't just lifting. Stretching over, bringing the nose to the knee. Coming up, inhale, rolling up through the spine. Stretching over to the opposite side here. Right palm is on the floor, left arm overhead. Keep that left hip anchored down into the floor and gently bringing the nose to the knee on that diagonal and rolling up. Just extend the legs out in front of you. And from here, we're going to go ahead and create a sense of grounding and connecting to the tissue of our feet. Often our feet are very much neglected. So I just want you to go ahead and begin to work through the toes, twisting them forward and back, giving your feet a little bit of love, a little bit of a massage. Placing one hand on top and bottom of the foot and just rocking it, massaging the tissue, and just saying hello to your feet. So often when we stretch or we move our bodies, we acknowledge the legs, our hips, our knees, but we forget so much about our feet. There's so much that goes on in our feet. It's what holds us up. And it is important for us to acknowledge and show them a little bit of appreciation. Get the connection of the tissue. Wake it up. And this is something that I actually like to do as a little bit of a nervous system reset for myself, is to massage my feet, because it brings me back into the present moment, helps me to connect. So you can do some breath work and then massage your feet so you're nice and grounded and supported. Coming onto the back here, bringing the knees up towards the ceiling, feet are planted. We're coming into a controlled resting position to allow our psoas muscle to really relax, as it's normally shortened and tight. Just letting your low back press into the floor, hands are staying on the pelvis, and just breathe in this position. Let yourself stay here as long as you need, And just feel how your muscles of your pelvis, your inner thighs, your low back begin to melt and sink into the floor the longer that you stay here. Breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just finding comfort in this rested position. Continue to stay here as long as you need. Thank you so much for joining me today for this flow. I'm extremely grateful for you all, and I look forward to seeing you more in these next videos.